This message is for anyone who intends to vote for Jill Stein because of her policy positions on the genocide in Gaza and the indiscriminate slaughter of civilians in Lebanon. Quick background on who I am and why you should listen to me. I'm an American physician who applied to work in Gaza earlier this year with Doctors Without Borders. My application was absurdly rejected. I'm also of Jewish heritage. My mother is Jewish. My maternal grandmother is Jewish. I want to tell you why a vote for Jill Stein is not acceptable. There's one fact that we'll start out by acknowledging, and that's the unequivocal reality that Jill Stein has a 0% probability of winning the presidential election in November. That is not up for debate. It is one of those rare situations in life where the probability is truly zero. So please acknowledge that reality. The second fact that I am asking you to recognize is the fact that the Republican Party is vastly more dangerous and more violent than the Democratic Party with respect to the war in Gaza and Lebanon. This is an unequivocal reality. Literally, Representative Tim Walberg, a Republican from Michigan, he literally called for ending the war in Gaza quick by dropping bombs like, quote, on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He literally said that. Jared Kushner has literally advocated for building luxury waterfront properties in Gaza after it's been completely razed to the ground. If you listen to any Republican in Congress or to any of Donald Trump's rhetoric, they are in lockstep with Benjamin Netanyahu and the genocidal right-wing Israeli government. There is zero criticism in the Republican Party. Zero. There's not a single voice who has had the courage to call a spade a spade. They want more war, more slaughter. They support Netanyahu so strongly. You have to be aware of that. It is a fact. Okay? They are incredibly hawkish and violent. They have no regard whatsoever for Palestinian or Lebanese lives. Absolutely none. Okay? So please acknowledge that fact. Obviously, the Biden administration has been complicit in this genocide. They've continued to supply weapons to Israel, and I condemn that in the strongest possible terms. I'm a doctor. That's my ethical responsibility. So there's no nuance there. I condemn the Biden administration's policy supporting this genocide in the clearest and most unequivocal terms. Okay? So you might ask, well, why the hell would I vote for Kamala Harris? She's just going to continue the same complicity. Well, the difference is that there are many voices in the Democratic Party who have called this what it is, a genocide, and they've condemned it roundly and vociferously, publicly. They've helped arrange at least some food supplies for the children who are being starved to death. They've called for ceasefires. In contrast, the Republican Party, they're perfectly fine with the eradication of the Palestinian people. They have no regard for the murder of civilians that's going on in Lebanon. They don't care. They are fine with exacerbating that. They will exacerbate that. Imagine there are 2 million people that live in Gaza. A minimum of 42,000 have been murdered, and 70% of the buildings have been razed to the ground. The water infrastructure has been destroyed. The hospitals have been destroyed. The schools have been destroyed. It is a horrific situation, obviously. But it could get a lot worse. There are 1.9 million people who could still be killed. Please recognize that fact. Republicans are perfectly fine with that idea. You should inform yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Look it up. These people are unapologetically vicious. Okay? Therefore, a vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Donald Trump. You're throwing away your vote. You're not supporting Harris. You're voting for Donald Trump. A vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Donald Trump, period. So, a vote for Jill Stein is a vote for at least 10x more violence and slaughter and starvation in Gaza and in Lebanon. Full stop. So we are faced with an excruciating, an absolutely horrible decision to make. But I beg you to hold your nose and vomit after you do it and cast a vote for Kamala Harris. This is one of the most horrific decisions that you will ever have to make. It's like choosing between killing one of your own family members in order to save 20 of your other family members. That is a wretched decision to have to make that no one should ever have to make. But that's what it is. If you vote for Jill Stein, you are voting to increase the amount of violence and slaughter and murder and starvation in Gaza by at least one order of magnitude, by at least 10x. Potentially a lot more. That is the reality. This is not nuanced. This is not complex. This is not subtle. There is no gray on this issue. Please, I beg you, do not worsen this process. Cast a vote for Kamala Harris so this process does not get much, much, much worse.